Ladies and gentlemen, the motion before the House today is that this House will ban the use of human embryos in scientific research. On the proposition side, we define this to be that we would prohibit the experimentation and invalidate any results obtained by experimenting with human embryos from now on. We consider that human embryos to be from the fertilized egg and sperm union until 3 months of development have passed, which is then called the fetus, which is currently illegal. So what we on the proposition side aim to do is we want to extend this so that it is prohibited for all stages of development. The proposition side is going to make 3 main arguments today. First, the importance of valuing life. Second, how does this, Secondly, is how does it explain the ethics of the scientific method? And thirdly, how does this set precedent for future action? First of all, the importance of valuing life. This is a direct violation of our right to life, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because this embryo is already alive. On that point, sir. No, thank you. Because it is developing and growing, like children grow, like adults grow. So, ladies and gentlemen, for opposition side, I ask you, what's the difference between an adult growing into old age and this growing into a baby? It's growing. It is already alive. No thanks. On this, if we were to follow this ground of argument, why don't we experiment on old people, on terminal cases, on disabled people, on babies? If the opposition side were to propose that the embryo wasn't alive, then for bases such as reasoning or capabilities of being aware of its environment, then what would the opposition be able to say to babies who, in their first stage of life, are barely aware of their environment, or fetuses, which are currently illegal? What we propose is to extend the current status quo, where fetuses are illegal, to human embryos, which we adamantly believe they are still alive and count as life. Because we recognize, ladies and gentlemen, that even if you want to call this a potential for life, it is still sacred. Because it will still, as already said, grow, and it will grow into a baby which is alive. On that point, I'll take in a second. Why do we recognize the importance? Because, I'll take your point.
What about actual life that have already been born? You can save these lives, and isn't this more important than saving something that cannot even speak or breathe?
Well, if you're going to say that it's not important to save things that can't speak or breathe, then why don't we experiment on people who are in a vegetable state in hospital? If they don't breathe on their own, they don't speak on their own, they're not conscious of their surroundings, they're completely non-responsive and kept alive completely by machines. So on the opposition side, they propose we start experimenting on these. Why do we not experiment on these currently? I'll tell you why, opposition side. It's because we value their life. Even if it's not the best quality of life, it's still a life. And we recognize that it is absolutely sacred. This is why. This is so sacred that when a pregnant woman cries when she miscarriages her baby, why does she cry? Because she recognized that that was her child. That point there. No thank you. That was her son or was her daughter. That soon would have been born and she would have loved it. But it died. And that's why the pregnant woman will cry. Because it is alive. It is a real being. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, that it is so important to value life. That is why we can't experiment on these embryos and just throw them away. Because every embryo that we throw away could have been alive. Could have been someone who gave importance to the mother. Yes.
These embryos are created through in vitro, which is basically masturbating into a clock. Now, can you tell me this?
Yes, thank you. Well, we're not against masturbation at all, but that's why we don't like that experiments occur on eggs or on sperm separately. But it is once you join these, once that you in fact initiate the biological process which leads to birth, you have already initiated this life. Before that, we're perfectly fine. We believe you have your full right to masturbate. And because of this, it is fine to experiment. But it is because, as you initiated this process of human life, that is vital to value this life and the living embryo, because you've initiated what will be alive. Now, on to my second argument. How this is against the ethics of the scientific method. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, science creates drugs. Some of these drugs are for embryos. There's even specialists in science, doctors, whose life's work is to get people pregnant. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, sir. It's like slapping these people in the face. These people who work their whole lives, day in and day out, to get couples pregnant. It's like directly punching and slapping them in the face to just throw away these embryos that could bring life to so many people who want them. These couples are desperate to get pregnant, and we just say, oh, look at what we have. No, you don't have it anymore. No, ladies and gentlemen. In the same way, also similarly, science invests a lot of research. It will invest a lot of money into the well-being and care of pregnant women and their embryos. What kind of contradictory message are we sending, not only to science as a community, but to the whole world and to the whole population as a community, if we're contradicting this exact research, this exact investment of monetary value into just throwing away the embryos that these previous scientists have tried and fought so hard to keep alive? We're saying it's okay to kill them, even though someone else has invested his life in keeping them alive? Ladies and gentlemen, what is this about? This is that science must be responsible towards society. The end, in this case, does not justify the means. The end of killing the child is not justifiable in any way. And that is why we have institutions to monitor ethics in science. And this, ladies and gentlemen, we're proving is a direct violation of the ethics. It is for these two arguments, the importance of valuing life, and how the scientific method, this is going against the scientific method, and what the argument that my partner will soon say about how this is going to set a terrible precedent that we must not fall into. That we believe, on the proposition side, ladies and gentlemen, that you should please ban the experimentation on human embryos. Because, ladies and gentlemen, they are alive, and we need to value this life. We don't want to contradict the scientific method, and soon we will start falling down an irreversible, slippery slope. Thank you.